Good day, everyone. I'm Geraldine Pamero, and now we're talking about the instructional materials. What is instructional materials? Instructional materials can modern or traditional one. It is a new way of creative and innovative techniques in teaching. It gives more beneficial to both teachers and students in the learning process. Through instructional materials, it helps the teachers to be effective in facilitating the students in the learning. In fact, it promotes productivity, engaging, and more fun in teaching learning process. Thus, instructional materials is the various forms that contains the information that the teachers uses instructing or teaching to the students. And it is important that instructional materials is tangible, which can be applied to the senses of the learners. Hence, instructional materials boast the students' interaction to the materials in which they are able to express their ideas, thoughts, views of the certain topics. There are two types of instructional materials, which are the traditional materials and the digital materials. There are 5 factors in designing instructional materials. First, the use of simple language in writing of the materials. It is important to consider the language used in making an instructional materials, and the language must be simple in order for the students to understand properly. Second, the provision of a context-based example, wherein it really helpful for the students to use it in their daily lives as they able to remember the illustrated example given by the teacher. Third, the provision of media in the forms of a picture. Fourth, the clear statement of instructional objectives in instructional materials. It's really important that teachers provide a clear statement in instructional objectives in instructional materials so that the student might be guided of what they must achieve at the end of the lessons or modules. Fifth, the provision of answer key. These techniques help the students to develop well and measure their achievements as they attain the feedback using the instructional materials of answer key. There are 7 ways on how to analyze learners and context. First, write performance objectives. As a teacher, it is important to write a specific statement of what the learner is able to do after they complete the instructions. Thus, it is important to identify the skills, condition, and the criteria for the successful performance. Second, to develop assessment instrument. Third is to develop instructional strategies. To develop and select instructional materials. It is important that the teacher in this aspect, they must know how to develop and select the preference instructional materials for the students. Likewise, learners' manual instructional materials and tests. Fifth, design and conduct the formative evaluation instruction. Next is the revised instruction. The final stage in revising the instruction, it is not only about revised the instruction itself, but are used to examine the validity of the instruction and the assumption about the characteristic of the students. And lastly, design and conduct summative evaluation. Multimedia materials. It is an enhancing learning materials which effective for this new generation. It includes the materials of slides, pictures, models, textbooks, videos, and etc. Instructional materials, it involves both teachers and students in making and using learning the instructional materials as it boasts creativity of the students and empower them as well. For instance, schools offer ICT course to the student, and with that, they're able to develop their skills and abilities as they establish their own instructional materials that can be presented in the class. Next is interactive materials. It can apply it in social science education, wherein the students not only motivated to learn and understand, but also they explore, internalize the ideas and concept value, and apply it in their everyday life. There are 7 dimensions of project-based multimedia learning. First, the core curriculum. Teachers in its dimension must set a clear objectives or learning goals to whatever curriculum or standards they use in teaching, in order for the students to be guided on what skills and knowledge they must attain at the end of the module or lessons. Second, the real-world connection. The teachers in this dimension must know how to connect the lessons in the real world as students able to connect the concept presented, because connection between the students and real life situation help them to learn better as they understand all the lesson. Third is extended period. A good project is not a one-time lessons. They need to have more time to think and extend time in order to think right. In fact, the length of the project may be days, weeks, or months, depending on the difficulties. That is why teachers must be considerate in this area of dimension. Fourth is students' decisions making. Fifth is collaboration. It is a dimension that students working together in order to accomplish the common goals and objectives in the learning process. Through collaboration, learners learn from others. Next is the assessment. And the last is multimedia.